What is poppin' YouTube? Back again with another video. Today we're doing a 3-round, 12-team Superflex startup draft, assuming that I'm drafting for each position, so you can see my values and who I currently rank over who. Let's go. My 101 is no other than Patty Mahomes. We don't need to dive into why Patty Mahomes is my 101. Best quarterback in the league, most consistent over the last few years, highest upside, never finishing below quarterback 4 the last 4 years. Super pumped to get Pat Mahomes at the 1-1 if you do have the 1-1. At the 1-2, I will be selecting Josh Allen. I feel like there's a bunch of people in the Dynasty community that are getting a little cute. Josh Allen did have that shoulder injury this last year. All wheels up for Josh Allen and how the Bills are surrounding Josh Allen. At the 1-3, I will be taking Joe Burrow. You could debate Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts will be at the 1-4, but Joe Burrow to me just feels like a safer investment. The Bengals have continued to invest in the offensive line. Joe Burrow does have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase under contract. I am excited about Joe Burrow and the potential longevity that he does have as a pocket passer. Not to say that he won't get injured, because like we saw in his first year, he did tear his ACL. I think Joe Burrow has enough scrambling ability to remain relevant and could be on that Aaron Rodgers type trajectory where he's playing until the age of 35, 37. At the 1-5, we will be taking Lamar Jackson. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be saying Lamar Jackson over Justin Herbert, Caleb. That's a bold take. Lamar Jackson, when he plays football, 22, 23 fantasy points a game. That's all I need to tell you. Justin Herbert did have a down year this last year, and I know you could say that it's because of the pass catchers, but it didn't look great. Lamar Jackson got the contract. Justin Herbert's going to get the contract, but I like Lamar Jackson's upside for the next 3 years in Dynasty Fantasy Football. If you think longevity concerns are an issue with Lamar Jackson, I hear you. It hasn't been anything really to prove that rushing quarterbacks get injured more than pocket passing quarterbacks. It's just something that we like to think in the fantasy football community. But at the 1-6, I will be taking Justin Herbert. I think getting Justin Herbert as your QB6 off the board, great value, especially when last offseason Justin Herbert was going off as the QB3 in startups. At the 1-7 is where I will be taking my first wide receiver. We will go Justin Jefferson. Dude's just a difference maker, especially in a super flex league. I like to start my drafts with 2 quarterbacks, but once these top 6 guys are off the board, I think the biggest points differential that you'll be getting for yourself is if you can lock down Justin Jefferson for the next 2 years. If you're trying to trade or acquire him in Dynasty, you know it's almost impossible, but Justin Jefferson at the 1-7 feels great. At the 1-8 is where I will take Justin Fields. I like the rushing upside. I like the way that the Bears have surrounded Justin Fields this offseason, because let's be honest, when we were watching him last year, he was a one-man wrecking crew. Justin Fields at the 1-8 is where I will be going. At the 1-9, I will take Trevor Lawrence. Now, I think you can make a big argument for at the 1-9 between Trevor Lawrence or Jamar Chase. I am taking Trevor Lawrence just because I like to build my teams around quarterbacks, but I would totally understand if you took Jamar Chase, because then at the 1-10, I will be taking Jamar Chase. The difference between Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, as much as we say, oh, it's a few, it's been like 2 fantasy points per game, I think Jamar Chase has a chance this year to get really close to Justin Jefferson, but I will be taking Jamar Chase at the 1-10. At the 1-11 is where it starts to be interesting, like who your quarterbacks. We've kind of gotten to that Deshaun Watson, Anthony Richardson territory. You got the Bijan of the world, and then you also have CeeDee Lamb. At this point, I'm actually going to be taking Deshaun Watson. Now, in most Superflex drafts that you do, whether it's a mock draft, whether it's an actually startup draft, Deshaun Watson goes typically at the 2-1, 2-2. So why am I taking him 2 picks early? I just believe that Deshaun Watson, if you've been on this channel, you know that I believe that Deshaun Watson has the potential to really get back to those top 5 seasons that he had prior to his incident that he had a few years ago. Now, I know he had a terrible 5 games, but Deshaun Watson is a stud, and that's why I'm taking him at the 1-11. At the 1-12, we will be going with CeeDee Lamb. I think the reason I took CeeDee Lamb over Bijan Robinson, and that's why I have Bijan Robinson at the 2-1, is just the fact that CeeDee Lamb is a wide receiver. If I had the 1-1 in my Superflex Dynasty League, and honestly, I didn't need a quarterback, and so I was going to be taking Bijan Robinson. There's 3 players that I'd be offering Bijan Robinson for to see if I could even get any traction. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and CeeDee Lamb. If all 3 of those teams say no to all those offers, then I will be taking Bijan Robinson. I do think Bijan Robinson has fantasy breaking upside. He is just a running back, so we know 3-4 years on that rookie deal before he really starts to lose some value. At the 2-2 is where we will be taking the next quarterback off the board, Anthony Richardson. Now, Anthony Richardson has made a climb up from grace. He was going in the middle of the 5th round, maybe a month ago. And as we continue to get closer to the draft, he just slowly started to creep up. And Anthony Richardson is my QB1 in the rookie class. I wouldn't hate you if you said, hey, I really prefer Kyler Murray, even though there's an injury. I think these next few quarterbacks are super close in tier rankings. It's just a matter of preference. But Anthony Richardson at the 2-2, Shane Steichen offense, Indianapolis Colts, feel great about that. The next player I will be taking off the board, though, is Kyler Murray. Like I said, if you had the 1-2 and you were able to leverage the 1-2 to get Kyler Murray because someone really wants Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson hasn't proven anything in the NFL. Kyler Murray has. As much as we joke about Kyler Murray playing Call of Duty, come on, boys, we all play Call of Duty. Kyler Murray has done it on the NFL field. He was a super elite dynasty quarterback asset. He was going in the 1.4, 1.5 range just a few years ago, and all of a sudden you're getting this injury discount on him. Kyler Murray at the 2.3 feels great. At the 2.4 though, this is where I think I'm going to diverge a little bit. This is where I think you got to go AJ Brown. I know we just said why we're taking quarterbacks. Like, I prefer to build my teams around quarterbacks. AJ Brown, to me, I would rather take him over one of these rookie quarterbacks or a Dak Prescott, just based on the upside. Now, AJ Brown is about to turn 26 years old. So AJ Brown, as much as he's getting to that elite part of his career, he's not necessarily the young wide receiver asset that he once was, but he still has game winning and league winning upside. So we'll be taking him at the 2.4. At the 2.5 is where I will be taking my next rookie quarterback off the board. I will be going Bryce Young. Those pictures came out. We talked about that in the live stream of his height, but you still have to take him. I mean, he was taken in the first round. So I will be taking Bryce Young. After that, I will be taking CJ Stroud. Like I said, we're going to have this little run on quarterbacks here. I think, like I said, I like to build my teams with these quarterbacks. So back-to-back quarterbacks. So yeah, the Bryce Young at the 2.5, CJ Stroud at the 2.6, and then Dak Prescott at the 2.7. You could make an argument to be made. There's some wide receivers. There's some running backs that are still on the board, but I'm taking all these guys just knowing that I have a solid 2 quarterback start, especially in the middle lane of the second. Those are kind of my values that I have with those guys. Now, like I said, I would take AJ Brown over Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or Dak Prescott. Once AJ Brown is off the board, that's the last positional player that I will be taking over those quarterbacks. I will be taking Breece Hall at the 2.8. Breece Hall is my RB2 still. I know he tore his ACL, but there's just so much to love about Breece Hall and his profile and being on that rookie deal. Cool. Maybe we have 2 more years of just super elite level athleticism. The thing with Breece Hall is we realize is that he tore his ACL, so it's probably going to be a slower recovery time this year, just getting back to full health. But then we'll have 2 more years on that rookie deal. And I feel like Breece Hall, we saw the league winning upside that he had in those 7 games that he played. Breece Hall at the 2.8, I feel really good about it. At the next player though, we will be taking Garrett Wilson. I know. There's some really good wide receivers still available. And Caleb, why are you taking Garrett Wilson over Jalen Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown? Put that man with Aaron Rodgers. Give him the chance to catch the ball, to become the new Devontae Adams. I think that's the type of upside that Garrett Wilson has on this New York Jets offense. So I will be taking him. But like I said, these next few guys, we're talking, I'm taking Jalen Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown here, back to back to back. We have a little run on wide receivers. I like all those guys. So honestly, if you were like, man, my preference, I prefer Jalen Waddle over Garrett Wilson, I would just say, well, Jalen Waddle's competing with Tyreek Hill in his field. Amon-Ra St. Brown, we love Jared Goff and we love that he was peppered with targets, but they've added some more pass catching weapons and they've added Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. And I know that didn't stop him before because Amon-Ra St. Brown was an absolute target hog. I think the real debate for me happens between Jalen Waddle and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love the potential of Jalen Waddle, so that's why I'm taking him. But if you want maybe more of the elite level production right now out of the gate, Amon-Ra St. Brown does feel like a safer pick. At the 2.12, we will be going Jonathan Taylor. And at the 3.1, then I'll also go CMC. I think CMC will never fall this low. I just can't get behind taking a 27-year-old running back in the first 2 rounds of a dynasty startup. We've seen CMC's league winning upside that he has, and especially we haven't seen him on a full season with the 49ers. I just can't do it to myself, boys. I just can't. And there's a good chance that he's going anywhere between the 2.7 to the 2.11. Like that's where he's been going in dynasty startups that I've been seeing, but I just can't do it. And that's why I don't have any shares. All the shares that I have are because I bought years ago or I drafted him years ago. At 3.1, that's who I will be taking because I'm the only one drafting here, boys. That's why I'm making this video. At the 3.2, we will be going with Tyreek Hill. The fall has happened far enough for my man Tyreek Hill. So back to back. So the 3rd round, at the early 3rd round is where I think these 2 elite level competing assets should be going. Like I said, Tyreek Hill, honestly, in a lot of drafts does go ahead of Waddle, does go ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill is going to score less points. I'm not saying Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle are going to score more points than Tyreek Hill. I'm just saying Tyreek Hill has essentially said he's playing out this contract and probably retiring. So that's another 2 years. Maybe that's another 2 years of elite level production for Tyreek Hill, but that's still to be determined. So Tyreek Hill at the 3.2, that is who I'm taking because this is my draft. At the 3.3, we will be going with T. Higgins. Now you could debate T. Higgins or Stephon Diggs, and that's where I have both of these guys put right here, but I'm taking T. Higgins. I'm taking the youth. I think you've kind of game that by now. I like these super elite level trait wide receivers. And yes, T. Higgins has not scored on a points per game basis, the same as Stephon Diggs. T. Higgins is also 24 years old. Stephon Diggs, 29, about to turn 30. The age gap, the age difference is what gives the value to T. Higgins. Yes, maybe he never puts up a wide receiver 2, a wide receiver 3 finished season. But I think the value that you're going to get with T. Higgins paired up with Joe Burrow, and especially on this roster specifically, like how we drafted, that Joe Burrow T. Higgins stack is nasty. Stephon Diggs at the 3-4, I do like that. At the 3-5 is where our first tight end is going to go off the board. We are taking Kyle Pitts. Now, Kyle Pitts, to me, is still tight end 1. A lot of people are saying, hey, if you have Drake London and Kyle Pitts on your team, try to trade one of those guys, because I don't think both of those guys can be target hogs in this offense. I totally hear you on that. I don't think both of them necessarily can be target hogs, but I think both of them possess enough elite level traits. They should be able to get the targets. And being a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver 2, which Kyle Pitts, as much as we want to say he's a tight end, he is a wide receiver. I like Kyle Pitts at the 3-5. With the longevity, with the height. If you're a competing team, though, and you have Kyle Pitts on your team and you said, hey, Caleb, I'm going for the chip this year, I'm going to trade him for Travis Kelce. I honestly don't think the values are that far off between Travis Kelce and Kyle Pitts. My next player I will be taking off the board will be Chris Olave. We kind of, like I said, we're kind of getting into this part of the draft where it's kind of just like get your guy. So Chris Olave at the 3-6. You can make an argument for Chris Olave over Tyreek Hill or T. Higgins. I've seen a lot of people make that argument. I am not there yet. Chris Olave last season was just a phenomenal season for him, and it wasn't on just the best points per game season we've ever seen out of a rookie wide receiver, but I still really do like Chris Olave there at the 3-6. If you watched my video today, you heard how much I do love Drake London, but I still have Chris Olave and, of course, Garrett Wilson over Drake London in my Dynasty startup rankings. We can't let Travis Kelce fall farther than that. 3-7 feels like great value. You're probably never getting him at the 3-7, and I'm probably not getting a ton of Travis Kelce shares. The only reason I would ever go Travis Kelce is if maybe at the 1-1 I got Patrick Mahomes, and maybe I should have, and I know I'm competing, so I got Jonathan Taylor at the 2-12, or maybe Dak Prescott falls to the 2-12, and I can just go Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and Travis Kelce out of the day. It just kind of depends on build, but I still prefer Kyle Pitts as the tight end 1 in my Dynasty rankings over Travis Kelce, so that's why I have him here at the 3-7. We're up next at the 3-8, and this is where it starts to get a little dicey, ladies and gentlemen, because we got some quarterbacks that have fallen, we got some running backs, we got some wide receivers, but Tua, you kind of take Tua at this point. I know Team 8 has 3 quarterbacks. We're not drafting based on team need. Tua should be going in the middle of the 3rd. I know he has the concussions, the worries, but Tua at the 3-8 is where I'd be going there. At the 3-9, I will be going with Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has been getting a ton of love. I don't think you're going to get him here at the 3-9 because I prefer a lot of these other guys over Jahmyr Gibbs, but you could honestly make the argument that Jahmyr Gibbs is RB3 in the class, and I think I have him as RB3 in the class. I just think if I was doing a startup, like I said, I can't realistically let CMC slide past Jahmyr Gibbs as much as I really want to. And so Jahmyr Gibbs at the 3-9, maybe that's criminal. And maybe you're going to roast me in those YouTube comments, but Jahmyr Gibbs at the 3-9 is where I'm going. At the 3-10, we are going with Jackson Smith and Jigba. If you haven't checked out the video, I'm linking it up here, but talking about 105, the discussion you have to have in Superflex leagues between JSN and Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I think the Dynasty community has kind of come to the conclusion that Jahmyr Gibbs is the pick, but I do think it is a close argument to be had in Dynasty startups. At the 3-11, we are taking Mark Andrews. We can't let the tight end 3 fall, because you could also make an argument that Mark Andrews potentially has the tight end 1 upside, not just for this year, but should be the tight end 1 in Dynasty based on Lamar Jackson signing and based on the fact that Mark Andrews is walking into the prime years of his career. I can't do it. Travis Kelce's been such a staple as the tight end 1. Kyle Pitts, elite level athleticism, but at 3-11, great value. I've seen Mark Andrews fall all the way to like the 4-7, 4-8. So getting him even here at the end of the 3rd, I feel like is great value. And my final pick of the 3rd round, ladies and gentlemen, it will be our time to shine. It will be our boy, Drake London at the 3-12. You guys know how much I love Drake London. You love the potential. Like I said, I think if I had Chris Olave, I'd be trying to sell for Drake London plus, because I really feel like they're in the same tier, not that far apart. I could also make the argument that I prefer Drake London over JSN, but Drake London at the 3-12 is how I envision the first 3 rounds of a Dynasty startup mock draft going. Let me know down below. Who did I get wrong? Who are you debating? Who are you throwing your hands saying, Caleb, you're an idiot? Who's someone that I should have taken earlier? Who's someone that I shouldn't have taken at all? Let me know down in the comments. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Best free way to support the channel. I'll catch you guys on the next one tomorrow. Peace.